would hit the thumbs up, hit the share button. Please get this video out. Email this video to people that you know. I'm asking you to do that. Copy the link and email it. Text it to somebody right now. Because the information I want to share with you is what I've been saying that they have been calling for all this time. The Demoncrats, they actually want blood. They're calling for blood. They're calling for it. So if you would, please hit that thumbs up, hit the share button, hit the heart button, hit the peel button. No matter how you're watching this, please share this video. Now, what's happening is that the Demoncrats, just like remember the Summer of Love, what were they saying then? Oh, it was mostly peaceful. But the Demoncrats were constantly calling for people to be violent. It's no secret. They're not hiding it. They haven't been hiding it. They've actually been showing how angry they are. And every single day that the American people receives a win, they get angrier and angrier. Just here's something, we're not going to get into a whole bunch of detail on it, but here just recently, the court just decided, the Supreme Court, and if I'm not mistaken, it was 8-1, right? There's 9 Supreme Court justices. All of them but one agreed that President Trump can fire the people that are in Homeland Security and these different government agencies. President Trump can fire them. Because see, when President Trump started laying these people off, because the job that they were there weren't doing anything. They weren't even doing it. They were just collecting a check. They weren't even showing up to work. And the administration decided to lay them off. Not to have jobs created in the government industry, but into the private industry, which those numbers that we've been seeing here lately with the job report has been jobs in the private industry, which is what we want. We don't want the government creating jobs and then try to turn around and try to say, oh, look, we created all these jobs. That's not how it's supposed to work. The Democrats do that so they can fudge the numbers. My point in bringing that up is that President Trump, what he's doing, the country is winning. The country is winning. By and large, the country is winning. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into it. I do have something on it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into it a lot here. But, you know, a lot of people are still highly upset, rightfully so. And I don't blame them. Upset about what President Trump said about the Epstein list. And I get it. I get it. You have every right to be upset. I mean, there's a lot of people upset about that. You have every right to be upset. And I was talking to someone earlier about this, and I said, do you think it's possible that President Trump just maybe have done this just to get, you know, the left to start kicking and screaming about it? And, you know, it's just a thought, but to be honest with you, I don't really think so. I think President Trump just wants to go away because all the people that are probably involved in it. I think so. He just wanted to go away, like, bye-bye, no more. Just be gone. That's just my personal opinion about it. Well, now the Democrats, again, because they're losing their base. They're losing the reason President Trump found out, or he realized, one or the other, or maybe both. He realized that the Democrats were using all of these people that they brought into the country for the Electoral College, and so they can seat the Demoncrats. And there's actually, I have a video, I think we got the video, where Hakeem Jeffries, I don't know if we'll be able to get to it, but even Hakeem Jeffries mentioned that the only reason, like they were asking him about this guy in New York that's this total commie. They're asking him about him. And his whole thing is like, well, he's a Democrat. He's running a Democrat ticket. And as long as he can bring seats, that's all that they care about. They don't care about anything else. They just want seats. Right? That's all that they're asking for, is to have seats. Nothing else matters to Hakeem Jeffries. They don't care about the people that they're exploiting by bringing across the southern border. And we don't even have to talk about all the missing children. And the Democrats are quick to say, oh, President Trump is deporting children. He's deporting American citizens out of the country, which is a total lie. I talked about this yesterday. I talked about this the day before. Talked about it last week. I talked about it ever since ICE has actually gone out and started arresting these hardcore criminals and removing them from the streets of America. The Democrats have been fighting for these people. And you know the alligator Alcatraz in Florida? Some Demoncrats showed up to that location wanting to go inside alligator Alcatraz. Well, when they got there, they were met by security, and security said, "Nope, you don't have access. You're not going to be able to go inside." And of course, the Demoncrats were upset because they were not able to go inside, saying this is unlawful. You can't do this. You have to let us go inside, which makes it really interesting because they don't do that when it comes to American citizens being detained and put in jail without due process. Democrats don't care. If you're an American citizen, and they detain you, remember back in 2021, remember they detained a whole bunch of Americans, constitutional Americans, right? Constitutional Americans. They locked them up without due process. And then when Republicans went to the jail to visit these prisoners, they would not allow them in there. These are Americans we're talking about. In this case, the Demoncrats are showing up saying that we're going to go in to alligator Alcatraz because of the non-American citizens. They're fighting for them. They're saying that President Trump's administration is creating camps, concentration camps. They're actually saying this. And as I mentioned before, every single day, another video comes out going right along with what I said the day before yesterday and the day before that, that as soon as the Demoncrats get the opportunity to be able to lock up Americans, they're going to put us in concentration camps for real. Because see, right now they're saying that President Trump is doing it to American citizens, which is not true. It is absolutely not true. And then they go, but they're arresting Americans. Look, if you obstruct justice, if you are out there fighting against ICE, pushing on ICE, body slamming ICE members, they should arrest you. At what point did that not become an arrestable offense? I'm really baffled on that. See, I guess because they're Demoncrats, and Demoncrats can break the law. I put a statement on X yesterday saying if you're looking to break the law, or if you want to break the law, and if you actually do break the law, if you don't want to suffer any consequences, just be a registered Demoncrat. Apparently, if you're a registered Demoncrat, you can get off on just about anything. You know how they were kicking and screaming saying no one is above the law? Except for Demoncrats. They said, no, basically, I wish they just came out and be truthful with it. None of y'all are above the law, but we as Demoncrats, we're above the law, but none of y'all are above the law. No one is above the law except for us. That's what they should have said. Well, this rhetoric that we're seeing that's causing ICE members to be shot at now. They're actually shooting at ICE members. And it's all happening because of what the Demoncrats. I've been calling this out. Look, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here. I don't want to be right in this crap. I don't. But I said they're going to keep doing this, and they want the violence on the streets of America. And they're going to do it because remember the summer of love. In their minds, for them, the summer of love worked. Why? Because they got Joe Biden in the White House. So why wouldn't they do that again? In their minds, it worked. But this time, it's my personal opinion, and I hope that I'm wrong, it's going to be a lot worse. Actually, it's already wrong. They're already trying to harm and take out in the life of ICE members. They're already doing it. And then you have some Demoncrats advocating for it. And see, they play this mind game with the simple-minded Demoncrats out there, and they hear this nonsense, and then they go out and react on it. That's how they're able to get these people to go out there and be violent towards ICE members. Listen to Johnson, Mayor Johnson, no relation. Okay, let's just be clear about that. Other than human being, but other than that, there's nothing direct between him and I. If we did, I would call him up and say, "Cuz, what you doing?" But anyways, listen to the rhetoric that he's putting out there, and this is why people are reacting to law enforcement the way they are. And he's in Chicago, of all places. He should be tough with the law.
The other things and all the other cuts pay is for a massive increase in the masked secret police that are terrorizing our communities.
So they're terrorizing the communities because they're wearing masks. And again, the only reason why they're wearing masks is because of the left wanting to dox them to find out their family members, where their wives or husband work, and their children go to school. It's already happened. That's the reason why they're having to wear masks. If you came on there and said, look, do not dox anybody, but see, they're not saying that. They want to know who these people are, so when the time comes, they can say that they were doing unlawful acts. Have y'all thought about that? Have you thought about that? They want to know who these people are, so if they ever get an opportunity, they can go and arrest them to say that you were doing unlawful acts by detaining hardcore criminals on the streets of America. These people are twisted.
ICE. ICE will now have a larger budget than all but 15 of the world's militaries. It's a 4-year total. Its 4-year total is more than every military except for the United States and China. This is a direct assault on the civil liberties of all Americans and will fundamentally undermine our rights.
You know what? I should have got me a cup with a whole bunch of ice in it. More ice, please. More ice. And they're complaining about it. See, with the very fact that President Trump and the Republicans finally did something, the very fact that they're going to increase ICE to be able to remove all of their base, talking about the Demoncrats base, to remove their base, the Demoncrats are so upset about it, they're actually calling threats against ICE. Look, they want their blood. They really do. Listen to this report. And this is where I got the story, or the idea of even calling this, saying that the Democrats are calling for blood, because here in the state of Texas, I'm in the state of Texas, for those of you that don't know, just south of me in San Antonio, there's a guy there running for office, and he's saying these horrible things that should be done to ICE. He should be rejected immediately, for one, and for two, the security, the law, not security, but the law enforcement should be picking him up, questioning him. The FBI, if no nothing else.
And I want to show you this. This was in San Antonio, Texas, where a challenger for a District 1 council called for the killing of ICE agents in Los Angeles. You won't even believe this. This is Matthew Guana, and he posted the comment here on X in response to DHS agents arresting illegals in LA. He says, and they will get shot by the Los Angeles public. I want to see a few dead ICE agents, Los Angeles. Don't let me down. Can you believe that? So Assistant Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, Tricia McLaughlin, reposted the comment here on X, writing this. San Antonio City Council candidate calls for the killing of ICE law enforcement officers in Los Angeles. Depraved. We'll see you soon. There he is right there. Meantime, Axios is reporting that town halls and one-on-one meetings, constituents, they want lawmakers to break the law. They want them to get tough. They want them to fight dirty and not be afraid to get hurt. In fact, they want them to get shot for the anti-Trump resistance. They want blood, is what they're saying.
They want blood. The Democrats want blood. Are you surprised by this? I'm going on a limb here and say that every single person who's watching right now, or even on the replay, because we're live right now. It's Wednesday, July the 9th, 2025. We're live right now. For everyone that's watching, I'm going on a limb here and say that, yeah, you're not surprised that they're calling for it. Not surprised. And see, this dude in San Antonio, Texas, of all places, calling for this, and then actually you're showing out how these other Democrats are calling for it, is the reason why we're in this predicament right now. ICE members are getting shot at. What Democrat is speaking up and saying, cut that out? I've yet to hear a single one of them say, look, this is not what we are about. We're peaceful. We're the peaceful party. Are they even saying that? At least they're not even lying. They could just come out and say, look, we're the peaceful party, not those mean MAGA Republicans. We're the peaceful ones here. We're telling people, don't do that. Stop. But they're actually advocating for it, just like the Summer of Love. Remember, Kamala Harris said, keep going. We'll bail you out. Remember?
Yeah, well, I know this article is a little long, but I want to read some of this for people because this was pretty revealing to me of what is happening right now, especially in the Democrat Party. Listen to it does say Democrats are told to get shot. So in town halls in their districts, the article says that Democratic members of Congress are facing a growing thrum of demands to break rules and fight dirty and not be afraid to get hurt. It says why it matters. House Democrats told Axios they are seeing anger among their base that has, in some cases, morphed into a disregard for American institutions, political traditions, and even the rule of law. This is this idea that we are going to save every norm and that we're not going to play Republicans' game. I don't think that that's resonating with voters anymore, one Democrat said. Another said a sense of fear and despair and anger among voters puts us in a different position here. We can't keep following norms of decorum. And Axios spoke to more than 24 Democrats for this story, and many of them requesting anonymity to offer candid insights about their interactions. Zoom out, it says, for months, Democrat lawmakers have fumed that their bases demand to fight harder, misunderstand the lack of legislative and investigative power afforded to them, to the minority party in Congress. They're saying we've got people who are desperately wanting us to do something no matter what we say. They want more, said Representative Scheider. Liberal voters have angrily accosted Democrats at town halls for their view not doing enough to counter Trump's agenda. In response, some Democrats have tried to up the ante by heckling Trump. We've seen that. Mounting rogue impeachment attempts. We've seen that. And getting tackled by law enforcement or ICE, and even getting indicted in their efforts to scrutinize Trump's deportation. One person said the grassroots wants more. Some of them have suggested that what we really need to do is be willing to get shot when visiting ICE facilities.
So they're not even talking about being martyrs
for federal agencies.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's really crazy. It says our base is telling us that what we are doing is not enough, that there needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public. They're calling for violence, Will.
Yeah. You know, is anyone surprised? Is anybody surprised? And one person put in a comment, where did I see it at? It was on YouTube. And Wendy says, that's Marxist for you.
Right.
They're trying to see the fact that they're saying that we need to go to the ICE facilities and take one for the team, right? Essentially, what they're getting at is that they're trying to encourage others. That's the whole point. See, if, like, for example, if President Trump said that meet me at such and such, we're going to stand up, we're going to fight for the American people, people will show up. People will show up. And the Demoncrats, just like January 6th, the Demoncrats try to say, oh, he was calling for insurrection, knowing good and well he never did. But in this case, what are they saying? How come none of the liberal media is actually calling him out, saying, you're actually calling for violence here. This is what they're actually calling for.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they're willing to take one for the team.
This is crazy.
Really?
This is crazy. They're calling for somebody to get shot. And listen, Will, in this conversations that they were having with these people, they said that the lawmaker said these voters tend to be white, well-educated, and live in upscale suburban and urban neighborhoods. So these are the people that have literally been indoctrinated by the left.
Oh, wow.
And one of the Democrats said the expectations aren't just unreal, They are dangerous. But this is what the Democrat Party has done, Will. In order to say they're against Trump, they basically incited their base. They angered their base by calling Trump a Nazi, by saying irresponsible things like he wants to put people in concentration camps.
Mm-hmm.
He's kidnapping people.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to be kicked off of Medicaid, and so many people are going to die. I mean, they do all of these irresponsible things. So they've incited their base to get fired up. And now their base is going, okay, well, you got me fired up now. I want you to do more. I don't want you just to talk anymore. I want you to take action. I want you to. So they're sitting here going, hold up a minute, right? Because now the crowds that they decided that they got riled up are saying, we want you to be the Pat. We want you to be the martyr.
Yeah.
We want you to take one for us. You put all this stuff out there. What are you going to do about it? And now the Democrats are in a peculiar place because they're like, well, wait a minute, this is getting dangerous now. But their base is saying, you're not doing enough. And in some cases, Will, they're starting to take things into their own hands.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, how many, it's been at least twice now, to my understanding. A couple, I mean, there's one is too many. One is too many where they're actually been calling violence against ICE. And they're actually taking violence against ICE. Well, listen to Eric Swalwell. This dude. And again, he goes on here. He's such a weasel. He's trying to convince the viewers, because this is what they're doing, trying to convince the viewers to go out and be violent. While he sit in the studio with the AC going, must be nice, trying to get everybody to go out and do the violence for them. But Shannon, a lot of people are like, no, you need to be the one to do it. And that's why they're trying to encourage some of them to do it. They already had the one lady, I forget her name, where she was using her body slamming up against an ICE member.
Yeah, she's indicted now.
Now she's indicted. And
yeah.
The other Demoncrats are like, oh, well, look, President Trump actually indicted one of us. Oh, we can't do that anymore. We can't get in a physical confrontation with him. But that's what they're wanting us. They're wanting the American people to get in a physical confrontation with ICE. But listen to Eric Swalwell here.
You know what the Trump administration has said all along, that their actions on immigration are to make America safer. So as a member of the Homeland Committee, Homeland Security Committee, what you see in those pictures, is it making America safer?
No, it's terrorizing Americans, our friends and neighbors, otherwise known as immigrants, many of them. But these are folks who, they go to our churches.
Really?
They work at our grocery stores.
What church does Eric Swalwell go to? I really want to know, what church does he go to? And you know what? I've seen a lot of people, they use this particular scripture in Leviticus talking about the foreigner, the neighbor, the immigrant, right? It's alluding to that, how you should be hospitable to him. But they conveniently leave out the part to where they need to follow the laws of the land. They conveniently leave that out. See, the people that he's referring to, they have broken the law. The Demoncrats, they are a lawless organization. Prove me wrong.
They work on construction sites. They work in childcare. They work in many jobs that would not be filled had they not done it. And I also just sit back and ask, who asked for this? Americans were told that the most violent individuals would be deported. And we're now seeing in the numbers that that is a very small percentage of who is being targeted. But Chris, we're not helpless. Democratic attorneys general in these states have their own law enforcement abilities. And I would recommend, and I have recommended to them, use those capabilities.
Give us an example of how.
Well, if these agents are committing assault or battery, you can charge them with assault and battery. So we're not helpless. You should meet their chaos with chaos. And by the way,
did y'all catch that? It was two things there. Did you catch it, Shannon? There was two things there. One that just proved what I said earlier, that when they get the reason why they want the mask to come off is why? He just said it. And then the second thing is fight chaos with chaos. That's what he's calling this. He's calling the very fact that they're arresting hardcore criminals on the streets of America, that we had to fight that with chaos. Listen to this part again.
Of how?
Well, if these agents are committing assault or battery, you can charge them.
This is the reason why they want the mask to come off.
Yeah.
This is the reason right here. And they're already saying that the ICE members, just because they're detaining criminals, they're saying that they're already breaking the law. So people, I'm trying to tell y'all right now, I'm sounding the alarm. I'm sounding the alarm. What were you going to say, Shannon?
I mean, I was just going to say that once again, this is the Congress asking the people like Mayor Bash yesterday to disrupt federal lawful, what do you call it? Not investigations.
Lawful orders.
Yeah, lawful orders.
Yeah.
Interrupt them. And you know what? You did notice though yesterday or the day before that Bass was keeping her arms to herself. She wasn't trying to become a martyr.
No.
Right? I think somebody wanted her to go down there and she did it. But I don't think it was to the extent that they wanted her to. She was like, listen, I'm not going down for everybody. I'm out here. I did my part. I'm out. I think that's really what she did.
She just wanted to show up to show the Democrats that I'm fighting these ICE members. And I need them all out. They need to all go out right now like they answered to her. And
the sad thing is because nothing happens to them. I think we mentioned this yesterday, that makes other people go, well, nothing happened to her. So if I do it, nothing's going to happen to me. So yesterday in San Francisco, you literally had people fighting ICE while they're trying to capture some illegals. They're literally fighting them.
Yeah.
And they're
physically fighting them.
And I'm sitting here going, what is happening? And why aren't these people being arrested? Why are they not being arrested? Look at this. I mean, this went on for some time. I think this video itself is like 2 minutes, right? And they're screaming like
they're screaming like, oh my goodness, like there's something happening to them, and they're just out there screaming because ICE is there deporting a guy. And see, they're trying to block the door from bringing him out. I know it looked chaotic because when I first looked at this, I had to look at it a second time. Now you can see right there on the right hand side, they're like pushing everybody out the way just so they can bring this one guy out. Right there. I don't know how well you can see it. Right there, he comes out. He has on a black jacket and a red shirt, and then another guy with one of those pro-Hamas Palestinian terrorist scarf on. He grabs him around the neck, trying to hold him back, trying to hold him, get him away from ICE.
But this is what
these people should be arrested.
Right. Listen, what happens if you put your hands on a police officer while he's trying to do arrest?
Oh my goodness, they will arrest you. I don't know why they're not arresting these people.
Right.
And you know what? What ended up happening is that the radical left saying, oh my goodness, they're arresting Americans. They're arresting Americans.
Innocent people.
Innocent people. They're arresting them. Look what they're doing. Hello? Look what they're doing. I mean, really? They should be arrested. This is ridiculous.
I just don't understand. But this is what the Democrat Party wants. Now, what's going to happen, Will? I'm going to ask you this. What happens when one of these people that are fighting ICE gets shot or gets ran over or something happens to them?
Then they're going to turn around. They're going to turn around and say, see, this is the reason why we want ICE out of the city.
That's going to
because they're harming people. Yep. And then it'd be just like George Floyd. It's like this is part of the reason why they're calling people to be martyrs, Shannon.
Yep. That's why.
Yep, that's part of the reason. So if we can get ICE to harm one, not me, of course, not me. This is the Democrats, not me. If we can get ICE to hurt one of you out there,
imagine we
will rally behind that.
We're actually in a time where you have Americans going into town halls with their representatives and say, we don't care about the Constitution.
Yeah.
We don't care about taking the high ground. Remember when Michelle Obama said, when they go high, we go low, or when they go low, we go high. They are literally on lower ground.
No,
They're
they
so
actually go low. That's what she meant to say.
I know. Well, that's how they are.
Whoever they may be.
But they're saying throw that out the door. They don't even want their representatives to act right.
No, they don't.
And so the Democrats, as stupid as they are, going, okay, well, we're not going to act right because literally they fear the people won't vote them in. They are fearful they're losing their power. They know that they're losing constituents because they're getting rid of all these illegals who they brought in to be their constituents. They have no message. They're not talking about what they'll do. They say, we'll do it, but they haven't done it, and they're not going to because they have no plan. They're not talking about any plans other than disrupt and incite and hate Trump and Republicans.
Yeah, that's what it really comes down to. Their TDS takes over everything. They don't care about reality. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about actual justice. They don't care about anything but their hatred that they have, and it is straight up called TDS. Okay, I want to show you something from Laura Ingraham right after this short break. I'm going to show you what Laura Ingraham has to say about how ICE is getting attacked and how it's organized. We'll be right back.
Life can be pretty unpredictable, filled with good days and not so good days. And sometimes, the only difference between the two is your level of preparedness. The Jace case lets you be better prepared for whatever comes your way. It contains antibiotics and other prescription medications so that you aren't caught unprepared. With a Jace case, you are able to get your prescription medication before the unpredictable happens, allowing you to turn those not so good days into great ones. Go to Jace.com now and get your own Jace case.
So listen to what the report that she put out here.
Tonight, we're getting stunning new details about how they did it. They were clad in black tactical gear. The complaint says the group lured DHS corrections officers outside by shooting fireworks at the detention center building. So agents called 911, and then they went outside to investigate and talk to the suspects. A few minutes later, an Alvarado police officer arrived on the scene. The moment he stepped out of the car, a gunman who was hidden in the woods opened fire, struck him in the neck. At the exact same time, another gunman started shooting at the DHS officers. 20 to 30 rounds from an AR-15 style rifle were shot. Those officers are all blessed to be alive tonight. A jammed AR-style rifle was found at the scene. Now, imagine how many could have been murdered. So what motivated these suspects? Like Cameron Arnold of Dallas, Texas, a.k.a. Autumn Hill, or Savannah Batten of Fort Worth, Texas. She was previously arrested for obstructing a highway during another deportation protest back in 2018. Then there's Nathan Bauman. Look at his eyes. College Station, Texas. Per the complaint, he was carrying spray paint and flyers saying, "Fight ICE terror with class war and free all political prisoners." Then there's Zachary Evitz of Waxahachie, Texas. Per the complaint, Evitz's car was spotted fleeing the scene with other suspects in it. He was later found walking along the road about 3 miles from the ICE facility. Police searched him, and they found a black balaclava, a mask, a pair of tactical-style gloves, and a pair of safety goggles. An officer asked Evitz where he was coming from, and he said, "I do not know," or words to that effect. Then there's Joy Gibson of Dallas, Texas. The complaint says that she had 2 cell phones in the backpack inside a Faraday bag, which is used to prevent law enforcement from tracking location information. Then there's Bradford Morris of Dallas, a.k.a. Megan Morris.
Have y'all noticed something else about these people, too? Do you think any of them are MAGA Republicans? I'm just asking the question. Do you think they are? No, they're not. Are any of them Christians? Absolutely not. Where do you think they got the idea to do this violent act? Maybe the left? Oh, yeah.
The complaint, Morris's house was used as a staging location before the ambush. Police recovered 9 additional firearms, 3 body armor vests, cans of spray paint, and fireworks. Then Elizabeth Soto and Inez Soto, both of Fort Worth, Texas. There's Marcela Rueda, also from Fort Worth, and Seth Sykes of Kennedale, Texas. They were found after fleeing the scene with a few other suspects that I mentioned earlier. Now, the complaint says they were all dressed in this black military-style clothing, like make-believe soldiers. Some had body armor, some covered in mud, some armed. Some had a banner found by one of the officers that read, "Resist fascism." And this is the favorite, "Fight the oligarchy."
Remember that.
Now, where have we heard that before?
This fascist administration didn't come from anywhere. They have planted the seeds for years.
We've got to defeat the oligarchs and the dictators that are trying to take over our country.
Do we have the guts to stand up to Trumpism and oligarchy and authoritarianism? We say yes.
AOC just talking about planting seeds. And then he's saying, are we going to have the guts to stand up to the oligarchies? And they're saying that they're the biggest threats. And now we have these extremely violent acts against ICE members. What is that about? What is that about? I don't know how else to stress this or how else to, put this out there. And I'm not telling people y'all need to be scared and because they're going to start doing all this crazy stuff, but I will tell you be self-aware. You need to be mindful of your surroundings because the people that Laura Ingraham was just talking about, they all look like Trans Tifa. Every last one of them. That is Trans Tifa in right there, 101, 100%. Every last one of them. I know some people used to send me messages saying, Will, why do you keep talking about this stuff? They keep doing it. And then people, because one of the main reasons, other than I believe that God still put me here to speak up, to say something, is because people in the past said nothing when the radical left was doing all this crazy stuff. They stayed silent. People, we saw it, but no one actually said anything. No one said, no one spoke up. And a lot of people didn't speak up for various reasons. Some of the most common reasons, well, I don't want to say anything because I have friends and family members that agree with that nonsense. Have you ever said that? I mean, I get it. Or another one, like where I go to work and all of my employees, the boss, employers, co-workers, they all believe like the radical left. So I don't say anything there because I don't need to keep my job. I get it. Or I don't want them to come after me, to call me hateful, call me bigoted. You telling the truth. If they're going to call you hateful, bigoted for telling the truth, then so be it. Tell the truth. Always tell the truth. And then, of course, they try to say that we're the ones filled with demons, right? They even said when Jesus was here, the Pharisees said that Jesus was filled with demons. And they said that because they didn't like what he was doing. They didn't like what he was saying. Just like today, the radical evil left, they don't like what you're doing or what you're saying if you're brave enough to tell the truth. And see, they're trying to get that to be the norm. They're trying to get it to where people no longer tell the truth because they don't want you to tell the truth. Listen to this one. This is on the Communist News Network. Literally trying to say that President Trump is picking up Americans, thousands of people, deporting them everywhere. And of course, for them, it's always a racial element involved.
normalizing a government agency disappearing people. We are normalizing, we're talking about it like it's no big deal that they are kidnapping people and transporting them to concentration camps, both domestic and foreign. I think
that's kind of insulting to,
I think it's
Jewish
insulting what they're
Holocaust
doing.
survivors.
It is not insulting to Jewish Holocaust. I find it insulting that you could even fix your mouth to defend this disgusting behavior.
It's not a death
It doesn't matter. It's a concentration camp what they're doing, and they are disappearing people, claiming that these are people who have committed the most harsh crimes, but according to the reporting, less than 10% of these people have committed harsh crimes. So to do the victim Olympics and decide who had it worse, I can tell you, I can participate in that too. And everybody who says, oh, this is not the America I know, I can guarantee you it is the America I know. Can I finish my point, please?
Yes.
We are, the fact that we're presenting this like it's political fodder, that a government agency is disappearing people, it is not a political point. It has
They're not disappearing people. They're apprehending people that are not American citizens. They're apprehending people that have broken the law. They're apprehending people that have done horrific crimes. And out of the 20 million people that came into the cross illegally, of course, not every 20 million people are doing violent crimes, but every single one of them that came into the country illegally have broken the law. But they want to give that a pass because they want the numbers. They want to be able to count the bodies. That's all that they care about. They don't care the conditions the people had to go through to come to this country. They don't care. Just get them here so we can count them. These people are blatantly evil. And President Trump, he's only picking up people that are not American citizens. But maybe he should pick up the people that are American citizens when they fight against the law enforcement. Pick them up. It'll end it really quick. But see, the thing is, as I keep mentioning, and I know I'm gonna toot this horn until I'm proven wrong, and I want to be wrong. God help me, I want to be wrong. But listen to her. They're gearing it up, people, to when they ever get in a position again, they're actually going to lock up Americans. You thought J6 was bad. Oh my goodness. What they have planned next is going to be that on steroids.
Nothing to do with Jewish people, because despite the fact that 20% of immigrants in this country are white, we do not see white people getting carted off to concentration camps.
Now, you know the key word that she left out of that statement, Shannon? Do you know what she left out of that?
What's that?
Illegal. They never want to say, now, if she would have said illegal white people, then people would be questioning. But she's not talking about illegals. Because majority of the people that happen to be white, they came into the country legally. President Trump is not deporting immigrants. He's deporting illegal immigrants. Listen to her. For those of you that missed it, and see, it's a play on words. See, I catch these things. I mean, because I just pay attention a little bit. And I'm pretty sure you caught it too. Listen.
Do with Jewish people, because despite the fact that 20% of immigrants in this country are white, we do not see white people getting carted off to concentration camps. So if we can just focus on the people who are harmed the most by this, and not make yourself or somebody else the center of attention, when that's not who's getting impacted by this.
Jewish, but I'm saying
or anyone else the center of attention.
Tensions are so heightened. Using that kind of language, I think, is not helpful.
The tensions are heightened because this BS administration is kidnapping people. It has nothing to do with my language. It has to do with the actions that are being taken by this administration.
How many people have been disappeared that you've never heard from again, and we don't know anything about them or where they've gone?
Thousands of people.
And
are you
never
serious?
Heard about them? Where they're going? Nothing really.
Are you a reporter? Are you not a reporter? Yes, thousands of people.
We managed to find
thousands of
people in El Salvadoran prisons who, were so
I'm sorry. I just want to be clear. Are you defending what's happening in this
I
administration?
am not defending. I'm saying let's be accurate about what's happening.
I'm being very accurate, and it is very disgusting what this administration is doing. And 10, 5, 6 months, 20 years from now, I hope that you can look back at this very clip and realize that you were on the wrong side of history if you're trying to remotely defend what's happening. There are fathers, mothers, and young people who are being carted off to concentration camps, and less than 10% of these people have committed any sort of violent crime. They are coming up, people whose our kids are in school. They are never to see their families again.
Really, these are not concentration camps. And she's talking about Alcatraz, alligator Alcatraz, trying to call it a concentration camp, or just taking them to an ICE detention facility. These are not concentration camps. By any means, they're not. 100% they're not. And she knows this. And again, If y'all are not paying attention, I'm telling y'all, as soon as they get in position with this whole thing talking about concentration camps, they're putting them there. They're going to say, I'm telling you right now, they're going to say that you, Americans, you allowed it to happen with President Trump. You allowed it to happen. You knew that he was detaining American citizens and you said nothing. So don't say anything now when we start locking you up. You know, it makes me think about, I used to, on PureFlix. Y'all know what I'm talking about? PureFlix. There's a whole bunch of series on there. Not series, but movies, and some series, but movies on there about end time prophecy possibilities, right? You know, hypotheticals, you know, stuff like that. And people, they make movies about it. I would love to have the funds to make a movie based on the stuff that I'm seeing in our world today. God, I'm looking for God to bless me one day to make that happen. I really am. To just show what's happening in a movie form. But anyways, I'm sitting there looking at it, and in the movie, they got to the point to where they were going after Christians and putting them in concentration camps. If you don't think that that's not going to ever happen, then you've been asleep at the wheel. The Bible tells us that we will be persecuted for his name's sake, for Jesus Christ. We will be persecuted. And that day is coming. And see, the Demoncrats, just like they want to be able to lock up ICE members, they're looking to lock up ICE members. They're looking to go after every single Republican in this country. This is what they're looking forward to. And they're putting that verbiage out there right now to get people comfortable with hearing it constantly. Oh, they're putting people in concentration camps. Where are these concentration camps? Where are they at? Because to have this notion, or to put this idea out there that they're putting Americans in the concentration camps, that means that they're picking up people, specific group of people. And see, that's what she's alluding to as well, that they're not picking up white people. They're not picking up, in this case, black people. They're not picking up, who are they picking up? See, concentration camps, the way they did with the Jewish people, because they were Jewish. And she's trying to say because there are brown people here. This is what they're alluding to. This is how they're trying to push this. This is how they want people to believe what is happening in our country. And it's not happening, other than people that have broken the law, that are not American citizens. Now, when she said that just a second ago, where how many, she said 20% of undocumented people in this country are immigrants from Europe. So I looked it up, and because I'm like, okay, how many people in here? And according to Grok, it says approximately 20% of undocumented immigrants from Europe, Canada, Indonesia regions, often associated with predominantly white populations. This translate to roughly about 50,000 individuals. Undocumented, meaning that they came here even on a visa and stayed. How many of them are out there being violent criminals? President Trump has already made it clear. He's not going to pick up those that are not being violent, the most violent ones. And look, if you're violent, illegal criminal, drugs, fentanyl, meth, whatever it is, children, bringing harm to children, whatever it is, Lake and Raleigh, you notice they don't say anything about that. See, the hardcore criminal that took her life, they say nothing about that. They should be saying, okay, people like him that harmed Lake and Raleigh, they should go to Alcatraz. But they're not even saying that. They don't want anybody. The only people that they want in Alcatraz are American citizens that they don't like. That's the only people that they want to go there. That's the only people they want to go there. But the white people that are in this country, let me ask y'all a question. How many times do y'all see them on TV doing horrible crimes? Or even look, out of 20 million people, I just said this a second ago, A lot of them happen to be brown and black. But how many of them do you see on TV? How many of them do you see in the spotlight? How many of them do you see committing these horrific crimes? I would go as far as saying there's millions of them not doing that. There's actually millions of them that's truly trying to make a better life for themselves. But see, the problem that comes into play is that the Demoncrats are fighting for the hardcore criminals, and then the people that are with them, they get caught up, they got to go too. Because you should have came into the country the first time. And look, I'm not giving an excuse for these undocumented, what they like to associate it with, undocumented white people. I don't care what your complexion is. Your complexion has nothing to do with it. If you're going to follow the law, your complexion should not matter. You follow the law. Every single time that I've gone and I've stood before a judge, I never thought in my mind, and I'm just being straight up with you, I never had it in my mind that the judge is going to rule for me or against me based on my complexion. That's never run across my mind. I'm just being honest with you. I remember the very first time that I had to go stand before a judge, I didn't have money. I didn't have a jacket. I didn't have a suit, nothing. I didn't even own a tie. My mom, she took me, and I was really young. I think I was, 16, maybe 17. I got it was a ticket because my tail light was actually out. I got pulled over for that. But I fixed it before I went in. And while I was in there, I remember before I went to the court, I asked my mom, I said, I need a, because I've never been to court. I just always on the impression that you need a coat and tie going to a court because going before the judge. So my mom took me to the thrift store. And she said, go find a jacket and a tie. So I went in there and I found one. It was kind of dusty or whatever. It wasn't brand new, of course. And I found a black tie. And I had a shirt. I already had a shirt, a white collar shirt, short sleeves, but it didn't matter. I had the jacket on, and I went into the courtroom. And I remember standing before the judge, and the judge looked at me. And just so happened to be a white judge, for those of you that care to know. I'm standing before this judge, and I'm not thinking him looking at me because of my complexion. That's not even running through my mind. I'm just wondering, like, what's going to happen to me? Here I am having to stand before the judge, and no one's with me. I didn't have no family. My mom had to go to work. My dad had to go to work. I was by myself. So I'm standing there before the judge, and he looks at me, and he said, you know what? He says, you're the only one. And I'm like, I'm the only one. He says, you're the only one in my courtroom with a jacket and a tie on. You're the only one. And he says, and for that reason, and that reason alone, your case is dismissed. You can be free to go. You're on your way. I didn't argue with nothing. He was a white judge. Look at me. So this stupidity from the left, they always introduce color about everything. If you break the law, it should not matter what your color is. It doesn't. It shouldn't. That's why the whole expression justice is blind is supposed to be, but not when it comes to the radical left. They want all black people to be victims in something that they've never done. Listen to Chris Cuomo. Listen to how he talked about the Demoncrats. Now, light bulb on. I don't know how long it's going to stay on with him, but maybe it's just he's starting to realize it now himself.
Listen, I got to tell you, if you want to have the fight, I'll have the fight, okay? If you want to try to tell me that you believe that you somehow represent something more pure when, if you're on the left, you just had 10 young people try to kill ICE officers because their policies suck, because the way they're doing it is wrong, and this is something you want to get behind? And say, yeah, well, but what but? What are you, nuts? If you want to have a fight, I'm here for it. Okay? Because these fringe people on either side, you want somebody to take you on, I'm here for it. Because you're killing us with your crazy. What happened with these kids, these young people, I'm old. Everybody's young to me. This was planned. It was organized. They baited, they picked the date, they were heavily harmed. I'm telling you, this could just have easily been an ISIS operation, and we would want to kill an entire country again. And yet now, this is no big deal. This is no big deal.
This is no big deal. People are getting fed up with it. And see, the thing that he didn't get into, or maybe he did, it was just a short clip. I just wanted to share that part with him. But maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I didn't hear him get into it. Well, I'll say this, Demoncrats don't get into it. The reason why they did this in the first place, it was planned. We all know this. He just acknowledged it himself. It was planned for these Demoncrats to try to take out ICE members. It was planned. So who put it in their heads to do this? Who's encouraging them to do this? Who's encouraging them? That's a trick question, right? No, it's not. I don't know how to express this. And it's like I'm keep trying to articulate it very, to where people will understand what I'm trying to say. Not that you can't. Sometimes I just think that for me, I'm like looking at this stuff and like, how do I get it out? How do I share what I see? That's all that I'm doing. I'm sharing what I see and I'm sharing what's happening. That's all that I can do. That's all that I can do. And I'll just share this with you. And this is something kind of personal, but I just want you to know before I come on and I do every broadcast, I pray with my producer. We'll hold hands and we'll pray. And I always ask God to bless me, to help me to relay the information that people need to see, to get them to understand, to get them to wake up about what's happening in this world and what they're doing. And that for me is trying to get people to understand that they're going to try to persecute us. The Bible already tells us. I think, me personally, I believe that we are at that, we're right there at that, right there. If they ever get in that position again, that full-on persecution of Christians is going to come down like a whirlwind. And I don't want it to happen, but I'm saying this because I'm compelled to say it. I'm compelled to relay it because I see that coming. All of this rhetoric about concentration camps, there are no concentration camps, but they're saying that, them saying that they're deporting and they're rounding up just innocent people, innocent bystanders, American citizens, which is not happening. But yet this is what they're saying. They're putting it out there. Why would they do that when it's not actually happening? Because they have a plan for the future. They do. They have a plan for the future. They're going to try to utilize this for their sinister means. Oh, President Trump did it. His administration did it. You said nothing then, so you can't say nothing. You have no room to say anything. They're going to justify it. See, President Trump, his administration, again, for the last time, maybe, he's going after hardcore criminals, people that have broken the law. He says he's going to go after the very nasty ones first. The very nasty ones first, but then the ones after that, hey, you broke the law. If I break the law, do you think they're just going to allow Will Johnson to get away with it? What do you think? If you break the law as an American citizen, they're going to be like, oh, well, you broke the law. Don't worry about it. It wasn't that bad. You only broke a little law. What a bunch of hypocrites they are. What a bunch of hypocrites. This is the reason why President Trump saying that we're the law and order party, and the Demoncrats are not. They're completely against law and order. It's like they hate everything about the law. That's why they don't like the Constitution. If they could do away with the Constitution and burn it, they would. They've already said that the Constitution needs to be done away with, or if it can't be done away with, to rewrite it. They were saying that on the liberal media outlets. It's no secret. They haven't been trying to hide that. But the only time they do like the Constitution is when they can weaponize it against you and I. the American people. That's the only time they like it. Other than that, they want it to go away. They want it to go away. All right, everybody, that is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, if you would, please, can y'all hit the thumbs up for me? Please bless me by hitting the thumbs up. No matter how you're watching this, or if you're on pill.net, please hit that red pill. Please hit that red pill. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate all of you tuning in. Bless me by hitting the thumbs up, right? It doesn't ever tell me who hit the thumbs up. It just shows me the numbers. Please hit the thumbs up. And when you hit that thumbs up, actually more people will see it, because you're telling the algorithms, you're telling the system, hey, I like that video. Maybe other people will like it too. I think this was an extremely important broadcast. I really do. I'm going to get into it a little bit more, some other stuff as well in my next show, which is 1 hour from now, called Culture Wars. So I encourage everyone, if you want to get to it, just go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com. uniteamericafirst.com. And just right there, you'll see it at the beginning of the page. All right, everybody, that is it for me. God bless you. See you in 1 hour. If not, see you tomorrow, same time, right here. God bless.